Every morning I wake up and open the shutters, and the light streams in, and I take a deep breath. And then I remember. I remember the day that thing, breath, breathing, that experience was irreversibly changed. Last year I went to the Mediterranean, to two small French islands, Poquerolles and Port-Cros, to study seagrass. So you might ask, why study seagrass? Well, humor me. Take the deepest breath you can and think of this. 70% of the oxygen in that breath comes from plants and algae in the ocean. Seagrass meadows are such efficient oxygen producers that scientists nicknamed them the lungs of the Mediterranean. But still, before my trip, no matter how many facts and figures I heard, I still found the connection between breath and the ocean very abstract. What changed all that was what I saw. I had no idea of the density of life the underwater grass harbored. It reminded me of the meadows on my grandmother's farm, which teemed with minute life, crickets, caterpillars, butterflies. It had never occurred to me that beneath the surface of the sea, such a similar terrain existed. But the most remarkable thing was almost invisible. It was this, tiny bubbles rising from the seagrass. It was almost unbelievable. And why? Because the bubbles were oxygen. I was reminded of the title of Doris Lessing's novel, The Grass is Singing. And so I thought, the grass is breathing. I know grasses don't have lungs, but we have something in common with them. We take in oxygen and breathe out CO2. The seagrass absorbs CO2, and along with water and sunlight, and by virtue of photosynthesis, voila, oxygen! Imagine you could see the oxygen streaming out of a houseplant in your office. I had thought of breath as inhale and exhale, like an accordion with two folds. But now I realized there was another fold in that accordion, a rather large-scale one, the biosphere. Now I could really imagine that third fold of breath, or really rather almost innumerable folds, miles and miles of seagrass meadows from the Mediterranean to Mexico to New Guinea, and mangroves and plankton and algae, all pumping out oxygen. Now I know I might just be waxing a bit poetic, but science hardly begs to differ. For starts, seagrass meadows are visible from space. One spans over 700 miles on the coast of Australia. That's the distance between New York City and Florida. Another below the Everglades is over 5,000 square miles. That's bigger than the state of Connecticut. And the carbon uptake thing? 1 acre of seagrass meadow absorbs over 7,000 pounds of carbon a year. That's the carbon emissions of an average car traveling 3,800 miles. So these meadows, they're like the Teddy Roosevelts of marine life. They speak softly, but carry a big stick. They are a significant factor in counteracting global warming, and they harbor an immense quantity of marine life. But there's a hitch to that big stick. It will only work if we preserve them. Flying home, I gazed out at the icy mountains of Greenland, and I thought how even in our hermetically sealed airplane, the majority of the oxygen we inhaled came from life in the ocean. Perhaps it really is true that within the mysteriously deep affinity for the ocean that so many of us feel, there is the knowledge that the life of the seas are key to our survival, our very life breath.
1, 2, 3. still in the woods when I give her a child. From the branches of my mother I will give her a child. He will preach and pray his lesson the same, taught from the anchor and the roots of my father. Give her a son, I will hand